Travel and Things, in association with Rugged Wear, Real People, Real Clothing, Real Solutions, presents In Conversation With. I'm your host, David Batsoffen, and before I introduce you to my guest today, winter is coming. In fact, winter is here already, but Rugged Wear is ready with their new winter range to keep you warm and toasty throughout the cold months. My guest today is the author, or one of the authors of this huge volume. Christian, how you doing?
I am fine, David.
Firstly, I have to congratulate you. This is an awesome tome. It really truly is. I'm trying to get it all on camera. There we go. And for people who don't know, I mean, it's enormous. Talk to me about the book, yourself and I almost wanted to say your co-conspirators here, but they're not, your co-authors.
Yes, it was Adrian Davis and Clark Scholes that did it with me.
Right.
This is an atlas of all the dung beetles that occur in South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana. There are pictures of all of the species that occur there. It's about 540 odd species. We deal with the taxonomy, conservation, distribution, activity time, the climate preferences, and association with soils, vegetation, and food type.
Right.
So that is for each of the species that we do that. Then after that, there is a synthesis, which is an analysis of all the scarabs distribution. Scarabs is dung beetles, and their conservation threats with lots of interesting tables. And yeah, so at just over 800 pages, this is not a field guide. The book is published by SANBI, and it is part of their Suricata series.
Now, suricata has nothing to do with dung beetles, everything to do with small critters with long tails. So, how come the variants there?
Sorry, David, I lost you. I
Sorry,
couldn't hear you.
the suricata.
Yes?
Those are meerkats, aren't they?
Yes, it's meerkats. It's an endemic animal to southern Africa.
Right.
And it's just the name that SANBI chose for their series. I think this is number 6 in their series. So they've done a few before this already.
Now, you don't realize, I suppose I should have put a matchbox next to this book for comparison. But it is a huge book. It really and truly is. If this book, if you don't have a coffee table, can I buy legs for this book as an accessory and then just use the book as a coffee table, Christian?
Yes, there's quite a bit of information in there.
What was it like to go and collect? You said just over 500 species. And then when I went through the book, there are several pages at the back of species that you don't have photographs.
Yes, this is the culmination of 20 years of field work. So we did about we did surveys all over southern Africa,
Right.
and so we have collected almost all the species. And yeah, so we've got all the data for those things, which it's and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So it took us about 3 years to put everything together, and so this is the final product.
And has anybody, I know that you think your proofreaders, your copy editors of the book, but has anybody found any mistakes in it? I mean, in a work of this magnitude, there has to be one step.
Yes, yes, I've already seen one or two mistakes that crept in, but I'm not going to tell you what they are. So, but there are a few small niggling things.
Well, for you, yes, it's probably where they may have changed an A for an E or something like that when you go into taxonomical names of these little species. But how come, and color code as well, custom made things, how if you're doing field work on a large animal like an elephant, for instance, or a lion, it's relatively easy to spot them, to sit and watch them do what they do. But But now with these critters, how much? I mean, was there a group of you aside from those mentioned on the cover page of the book that were involved, or was it just the three of you?
David, it's mostly me and Adrian Davis that did a lot of the field work. Obviously, Adrian he's well in his 70s, so he's been doing dung beetle research for about 40 years in South Africa. So he's done a lot of work before I joined the research group at the University of Pretoria. But it was mostly the two of us that did the field work. Then we brought everything to the labs in Pretoria, and there we had a student workforce that helped us sort through everything. We identified everything, counted everything, and then we could do all the analysis for whatever project we did. So, for example, we did work in the Northern Cape where we certified farms as natural. It was for natural lamb products or something. So they wanted to certify it was ISO 2001 certifications that we did. But the bonus was they were paying us to do all the field work, but we got all the data, which is very nice. So, no. So then there was lots of other projects all over South Africa that we did. So where we got all the data from.
And I thought, shame, how many friends does he really have? Because if you compare that to this fellow, there's lots of family members wandering around.
Sorry, David, I'm missing a lot of what you're saying. There's something wrong somewhere.
Okay, I'm saying this particular fellow seems to only occur in 6 areas, whereas this one seems to occur in the majority of South Africa.
Yes. It's mostly to do with the dung beetle's food preference.
Right.
So the previous beetle that you showed is a rhino dung specialist or a coarse fiber dung specialist. So he's only occurring where there are rhinos, where the rhinos occur. So it used to occur all over the old Transvaal, as you would say it, and KwaZulu-Natal and all the warm low-lying areas. But with the rhinos that disappeared from there, obviously its distribution got retracted a lot. And they are recovering now with farmers that are farming rhinos. So they are spreading, but very, very slowly. So there's one example of a species that only occurs in Shishlui-Umfolozi Game Reserve. It's the only spot on Earth that this species occur. So if the rhinos disappear there, that species is also gone.
And you find that they aren't. Can you bring dung beetles like you do with wildlife into a reserve or into an area to repopulate the area?
David, sorry, I can't not hear half of what you are saying.
I wonder why. Okay, I'll re-ask.
Oh, now I can hear you.
Okay, I'll re-ask the question. Are you
now you're gone again.
Are you able to repopulate areas where dung beetles have disappeared?
Yes, you are definitely able to do that. Normally what happens is that all the game animals in a reserve would be or in an area would be removed, or maybe something like a mine or whatever. Everything just disappears. And then as the area gets rehabilitated, game returns. So dung beetles follow. So it's like a sink and source situation where specific areas is a sink, and the beetles just disappear. But fortunately, all around those areas, there are still sources. And eventually the dung beetles do come back. So although it does take time.
All right. Okay. Now, this particular beetle is the first in the book. How special is it?
It's a very interesting thing. They only eat mushrooms. So they would take the mushroom, the umbrella, and they would break pieces off, bury it exactly like a normal dung beetle would do. They would make a little ball of the mushroom, and they would bury it underground, and this then ferments, and it is on that fermented juice that the larvae then eats. And so, yeah, it's a very interesting life cycle.
It sounds like it. What sort of fun facts can you share with the viewers about dung beetles that people might not know?
Well, except this dung beetle that only eats mushrooms, there are other dung beetles that only eat millipedes. They would actually actively hunt millipedes. They would use their mouth parts to scrape out the innards of the millipede, and also make a ball with it, roll it away, and bury it. Then there are lots of flightless dung beetles. Um, dung beetles are virtually everywhere. And even if it wasn't for dung beetles, we would literally within a year be knee deep in the shit.
What interested me is how fast they arrive at fresh dung.
Yes, they do arrive very, very quickly at a fresh dung source. There are actually dung beetles in the Namib that would fly behind the oryx. So they would follow these oryx, hoping that these oryx would drop something. And I've actually walked on the dunes in the Namib there, and they would be flying behind me. And as I turn around, they would sit on the ground. And as I walk further on, they would follow me again. So there are guys that are very, very quickly.
Are there human experts?
Sorry, David, I could not hear one word.
All right. Are there dung beetles that will eat human waste?
Human dung.
Yeah.
Yes, there are. We are omnivores essentially, and there are quite a few dung beetles that specialize in omnivore dung, as there are dung beetles that specialize in elephant, rhino, and zebra dung. There are also dung beetles that specialize in buffalo dung or cattle dung. So there are dung beetles that specialize in omnivore dung, which humans are part of. So yes, they are dung beetles that eat human dung.
The legend that the beetle, is there any truth to the legend that beetles are able to use the stars for navigation?
Yes, that it's been proven. I'm not exactly sure how they do it, but they when they roll the ball, they need to do this in a straight line because dung is an ephemeral source. So if you want to take the dung away from your dung ball away from the source, where there is lots of competition, you have to roll it away as fast as possible. And the fastest way is obviously in a straight line. So they need to know exactly where they are going. And then they would actually, there are some dung beetles that resupply their holes or their burrows. So now they need to go back and forth. And that is how they keep direction of where they are going.
That we're top of the food chain. I'm saying, Christian, given the fact that we believe we're top of the food chain, they put us to shame.
Yes. Um, Sorry, I'm getting very, very, very weak sounds from you. It's just the odd sound.
Okay, well, as long as you're answering my questions, so that's okay.
Nothing, nothing.
The last beetle I want to talk about is this particular one. Can you tell me a bit about Sisyphus?
Yeah, they roll their dung balls. They also roll dung balls away from the source, and they are named Sisyphus because poor old Sisyphus in Greek mythology was doomed to roll a rock uphill for all eternity because he was, I think he was very vain or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, so the Sisyphus was named after this poor Greek that was doomed.
Not fair. Christian, where is the book available?
This book is available from SANBI. You can order it by emailing SANBI directly, and or you could just go directly to the offices at the bookshop.
Where is that? Where are they based?
In Pretoria at the Botanical Gardens.
Okay, so it gives you an excuse to visit the botanical gardens at the same time. All right, looks like we're having a bit of an issue with our audio. But Christian, thank you so much for joining me on In Conversation with. It's been great talking to you. I wish you and the team all the very best with this book. If I can pick it up once more, there we go. And if you are, like I am, interested in Dung Beetles, this is the seminal work. You may never need another book in your entire life. Keep it, look after it. Christian, once again, thanks for being a guest on In Conversation with.
It's a pleasure, David.
In Conversation with was brought to you by Rugged Wear. Rugged Wear, winter is coming. No, winter is here, and their winter range is already available from their shop. Once again, my thanks to Christian for being my guest today. A pity about the audio from time to time, but that's what modern technology is all about. Until the next one, from